Hi there. I am going to film a little video about some of my decks that were just treasures in my collection this year. So I am going to start out with a couple of my most used decks, and I know that I've shown these before. This is the Rosetta Tarot, maybe my favorite deck of all time, and definitely like one of my very favorites, if not my favorite deck of all time. And this is a laminated version of this deck that is, I think, really stunning, but also I could put it in water. It can go to the beach. I like having some plastic cards in my collection, and I really, really love this deck. And it is just a staple of my practice. I use it all the time. And this version, I feel like I can take it to the bar, I can take it to the beach, I can throw it in my purse and take it to work. I can take it wherever I go and travel around with it. And it stays in good shape because I don't have to worry, oh, if I spill something on it, it might hurt it. But it is just one of my favorite decks of all time. And probably will be next year too, but I can't imagine that I won't just continue to use and love this deck, because there's really nothing else for me that that I love this much that can take like the variety of situations that I will end up in. So that is the Rosetta black bordered first edition from like 2011. All right, next deck is also by Lean, which is my little tabula Mundy Tarot, which I also spent a lot of time taking everywhere and using for everything. This is another favorite of mine. I guess I really just enjoy her decks. Anyway, this one has been just fantastic, and I love the little mini version, and it is still available. And the guidebook on this is great and explains the meanings on the cards. But you don't need it. I mean, you could just have, I don't think the little version comes with it, but my favorite Empress card, I think. Anyway, it is a Toth-based deck, or, it blends some of the RWS into, but it is a blend a little bit, but it is more Toth-based than RWS. But it is encompassing. It's a Golden Dawn deck. I think that's a good way to say it. We are so influenced by the Golden Dawn and how they saw things. So the Toth-based decks and RWS decks are definitely Golden Dawn decks. Anyway, I love the art in this deck. I mean, I love her art in general, so I think that's partly why I love her deck so much. And, the system I grew up using was the Toth, and so it's a lot easier for me to read Toth-based decks because it's what I think of when I read tarot, and I always go back to those meanings. The RWS is a little bit more challenging for me. So next I'm going to show you a couple Marseille decks. And one of them is the Claude Rocher, the 1754. And both of these are type 2 decks. And I spent a lot of time using this deck. I actually got this one this year, and I spent a lot of time using it. I'm trying to put everything back in order, but I think Didn't put the Rosetta back in order. Sorry about that. Anyway, I might have forgotten to put some back in order. I might try and stop the video and put them in order. But you can tell it's type 2 because there's no devil on the belly. And also the world card has a sash there instead of a loincloth. But I really love this deck, and you can see that it's got the flaws in it from the original version, as if there's shadows from printing, which I love. One of the things I love about this deck is the greens in it. The greens in it are just so beautiful. And the blues, the greens and blues in this deck are just spectacular. This one is still, it's an Yves Renaud deck. It's still available. I love all of Yves Renaud their decks. It just happens to be that these are two that I used a ton this year. Or this is one of the two of them that I used a lot. And I am outside because it's a gorgeous day and I want to soak up the sun. All right. And then there's the side of the box there. And this one was created in 2018. And the next one I'm going to show you is the Pierre Medine. And this is the first edition. I think there is a newer edition out that is more cleaned up than this one. So this one is, it's got the shadows and the imperfections. Oh, shoot. I didn't get this one back in. Okay, well, we're just going to go with it. Anyway, the newer one is more cleaned up than this one. I may get that one too. Although I don't think they make these boxes anymore. Somebody said that. All the ones I have this kind of box. But I think maybe there's like a tech box or something now. I'm not sure on the new versions of the Yves Renaud tarots. I think maybe I tried to put it back in order and then I was using it for something online maybe. So it's not back in order. But just, I love the colors, and I love, in this deck, I love the grays. Another reason you can tell it's type 2. And there's no face on the belly. Anyway, to me, this is just a fantastic deck and really, really beautiful. And I love the Marseille decks. I love using them. All right. And there's the side of that one. All right. Next, I am going to show you a couple of Marseille style decks that I've been using. This is the Dinosaurs, and I'm sure you've seen this on my channel if you've watched my channel, but I love this deck. This is a favorite of mine, and I've showed this a ton, so I won't show the whole thing, but this is still available. It is fantastic. It has a little guidebook, which I haven't red. I did get this deck this year, so it's a newer deck to me, but already a favorite of mine. Really love it. And I originally got it because my grandkids love dinosaurs, but you know what? I guess I just love dinosaurs too. I love dinosaurs and dragons. I have a lot of dinosaur and dragon decks. And I have a bunch of playing cards that I keep around that have dinosaurs on them for the kids. Anyway, I saw this originally on Kelly Bear's channel. Oh, and it has some extra cards. I'll show you the extra cards. And I bought it the day I saw it, which was like back in April or something, I think. And then I didn't use it right away. I didn't start using it till like June or July, but once I did, I just fell in love with it. I showed it a bunch in Don Michelle's groups and on her live. I showed it, I think, back in July. I think a lot of people ended up liking it. And I've gotten some extra, and I gave a couple away. Gave one to my friend when I was at the Tarot Symposium, and then gave one to somebody for a birthday present. All right, so that is the Dinosaur Tarot, Les Dinosaurs de Marseille, and then I have another deck. I'm going to see if I put it back in order. I tried to put it back in order. Anyway, it might not be in order. This is the Estrea Tarot that I got this year at the beginning of the year, and am in love with this deck. And I bought a second copy and gave it to one of my friends. It's not in order, sorry. Anyway, I think this is brilliant. Awesomely done. And the colors are stunning in this deck. And wow, what great cardstock. This is just a very well done deck. And it did sell out for a while. And then it came back into print. And it's back in print. So it's on Etsy. And here's the box. And then there's the card. It's Ash's deck, and then there is the back of it. And I'll try and link the Etsy shop down below. But isn't it just gorgeous? It's definitely been a favorite of mine this year. And it will stay in my rotation for next year, because I just think it's really great. And I have a bunch of Marseille style decks that I got this year that are just really cool and really innovative. But this is for sure a favorite, and it's got some diversity in it, and I just think it's very, very well done. And the colors to me are just stunning. Just love them. The choices are, it's got like turquoise and pink and purple and pink together, and then turquoise there, and then turquoise backgrounds. If you love turquoise and pink, this is a great deck. It's got some greens. Anyway, it's just a gorgeous deck. So definitely a treasured favorite from 2023. That is the Estrea Tarot. Really well done deck. Okay. My newest one is the BiP Speak, and I did a walkthrough of this one, which is not out or posted yet, but I will try and post it before the new year. So this one I just am in love with already and charmed by it. And because I did a walkthrough, I won't show too much of it, but it's hard for me not to show it. I just love it. It's gorgeous. Love every single thing about this deck. It's a favorite already, and I'm going to keep using it for next year. It's very, very sweet. And it's, I don't know if you can tell out here, but it's got gold sparklies. In my walkthrough, I didn't know if you could tell, but you ended up seeing the sparklies. Such a beautiful deck. And this is a Kitten Chops velvet. It's the Velvet Heart reading cloth, which I have been using this whole month. I love it. I got a couple of them, and I love them both. I've been using one of the two of them ever since I got them. Just love them. Anyway, fabulous, fantastic deck. And the edging is just this soft, perfect gilding. The inside of the box is gorgeous. Everything about it, perfect. It's a perfect deck. Anyway, love it. Oh yeah, and you put it in from the top, which is so much better than some other ways. All right, another deck I used a ton this year that I love. It's an old deck of mine, but I got it out a lot this year, and I have at least one other deck. It was Jean Bouchard. I have at least one other one. Tarot de Alchemists. That was one of my main decks last year. And I like the cardstock on this version better. This is an out-of-print deck. But it is... I think it's pretty easy to find under $100. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think it's that. There was a ton of them produced, and it is a gorgeous deck. Those are the backs. And I love using this deck. It's the Masonic Tarot. Really, really fun. And it's been a favorite of mine for a long time, but this year I used it more than I have in a while. Oh, I hear people outside. Everybody works outside this winter because we haven't had any winter. It's been pretty weirdly warm. I think it's supposed to start cooling down the week after Christmas. And then maybe like getting down maybe into the 40s or something. We'll see if it does. It's been in the 60s, which is so nice. And, you know, I came from Hawaii, so it's not as warm as Hawaii. But we've had a really beautiful winter. Okay, so that is the Masonic Tarot deck. I think my daughter lives in New York City, and she was saying they have also just had so much warm weather, and it's been really, really warm there, too. I'm sure that's due to global warming, which isn't great. All right, another, it's a Swiss deck. It's the Tarot Classic. But love this deck. Used it a lot more. This is not a new deck again, but something I used a lot this year. And I love this deck. Love the colors on it. It's got these just really bright, beautiful colors. Beautiful greens, beautiful turquoise blues, kind of these rosy pinks. And I think this is out of print, but I think you can get it for under $30 on eBay and stuff. So it's never very expensive. Or if it is, don't buy it because it always comes up pretty cheap. Look at how brilliant that green is. Anyway, it's a deck I really enjoy and love. Okay, stop showing it. I'm sure you've seen it before, but it is a really fun deck. And it is the Tarot Classique. Book by Stuart Kaplan. It's Woodcuts by Claude Burdell. Okay, next deck I'm going to show you. I think I'll show you one of my favorite dark decks that I used. There's the box. I have the big box with the guidebook too. This is the Low Scarab, just box version. Anyway, there's the title card. This is a deck that I absolutely love and has been a favorite of mine this year. I use the other one most of the time. It's in the big box, but I was trying to bring out things that were smaller today. I have trouble when I show a ton of decks, not having things get lost. I love this. And I showed this in my spooky decks. So I probably won't do a walkthrough of the whole thing, but anyway, really fun. It is unfortunately out of print. And I don't know if this will come back into print. You can find it around, but this one is a little bit harder to find. And that is the Low Scarab single box version. All right, next I'm going to show you, I think I'll show you the Cherokee Fu della Torre in Bologna. I hope I'm saying this right. This is a deck. It's not new to me, but it is a deck I used a lot this year. This is, I think this was the 2018 edition. I think my deck is number 72 out of 500. There was a first edition that was 200 decks, but I missed out on that. And then I think maybe it's in its third edition right now. Anyway, when they run out, then they usually print new ones, but I think the box may be better on the newer edition. So I'll link it down below, but this is a really fun Italian deck, a Cherokee. And it's just got another example of really just gorgeous colors. Really beautiful deck. Definitely a favorite in my practice this year. And I won't show you like all my Thoth versions I used of my decks. I'll just try and show you kind of things that you don't see all the time, because I'm sure you've seen tons of copies of the Thoth deck. I used more Marseille and Italian style decks this year. I mean, I go back and forth. Sometimes I'll use them a lot. Sometimes I'll use more toothpaste. I use both. And every once in a while, I'll find some RWS style deck that I love too. I mean, it's not that different than the Toth. It's just, they're both Golden Dawn, so it's not that hard to use it when you already know the Toth really well. All right, so that is the Tarocchi Fin dalla Torre. I don't know if I'm saying that right. You know, I'm not Italian. Italian's really hard for me. Like, I learned French, and my French accent isn't great, but at least I can understand it and read it and stuff. But Italian, whole nother thing. Okay. Next, I think I'll show you two of the RWX decks that I did use for different reasons quite a bit this year. One of them is the Pam's Recolored Tarot, Gilded Shadow Edition, and I do really love the coloring on this deck. It's really fun, and it's got like incredibly awesome gilding on the sides, and it's that flat kind of, and it's chipping, flat gold, and it's got linen cardstocks. It's gorgeous. But anyway, I'll just show you a little bit of this deck. I love the coloring in it. It's really pretty. But it is, you know, a straight RWS deck, just with different coloring. He used the RWS more than I have in the past this year, which was kind of fun. Because it's not normally my thing. I do really like the backs of this too. Anyway, I love this deck. I think it's a cool one. It's not my favorite system, but it is something that I can use, and I am getting more comfortable with RWS and differentiating, not reading it just like a Toth deck. Because I used to just read it just like a Toth deck. And it's different, a little bit, not tons, but, and then here's my Golden Riter. And I'm sure you've seen this. And then these are the backs, but I'll just flip through this quickly. It is also just RWS. I enjoyed it this year because it has kind of a gold brownie border, and it just went with some of the decks I was using really well. And I used it a couple times just for references, like when I was showing things for the Decans. I use this sometimes as a reference to bring out. I ended up not doing that every month because it was, some of my decks were getting lost, and I need to find a better way to be able to get out tons of decks and not lose them. All right, next I'm going to show you a newer deck that I absolutely fell in love with. That is kind of RWS, kind of goes its own way a little bit. This is the Witch Sister Tarot, and this is the guidebook for it. Ended up not having this deck that long, but just loving it. And a lot of us were following the creation of this, and I did know I would love it, but boy, it's so cool. Just a fantastic deck, and it's a favorite now already, even though I haven't had it that long. I am in love with it. And it's Celtic. It's got a really great guidebook, and I'm going to dive into it even more next year. But like, it was a surprise how much I liked it. And I knew I was going to love it because following it on Facebook and everything. It's just, wow. But I edged mine too. In the same color that's on the back, which I thought was really fun. Need to get a better bag for it, though. My bag for it doesn't match. But anyway, Witch Sister, I'm sure you've seen that, so I won't do a walkthrough of that one. But fantastic. And one of my favorite new decks. And I will show you another one of my favorite new decks that I backed on Kickstarter that I've been loving. It's the Odyssey Tarot, Hermetic Odyssey. I did a walkthrough of this one too. So I will just quickly show you some of this. It is a Greek mythology deck. And it is absolutely amazing, especially if you're interested in the Greek pantheon. And if you've read the Odyssey, it's great. Odyssey is such an amazing book. I was trying to get Lisa Pepez's group to, love this card, study it in one of our book studies, but everybody thought it was too long, so we ended up not doing it. But it is such a great book to read, and it's one of those books that I reread every 10 years, and it is always different every time I read it, and I see things differently because it's got so many layers in it. It's just fantastic. Anyway, this deck is amazing. This company that does, I'll show you the guidebook, Welkin, they're fantastic. Everything they do is amazing. I also have their Shakespeare Tarot and a Monty Python Tarot and a Star Trek Tarot. It's just, I got the Beatles one for my husband to read for him. And the guidebooks are great. And this, each card has a story. Anyway, it's just really amazing. And of course, I was going to back this one on Kickstarter, even though I try not to do a ton of Kickstarters. But this one, I was like, there's no way I'm not backing that deck. I knew I'd love it. Well, and also because I knew who was doing it. So this is a favorite this year and will be one of my favorites next year. So I can already tell. Anyway, love this deck. It's just amazing. And the box is great. It's like their boxes for their other decks, if you have any of their other decks. I think a lot of people have the Shakespeare one. But just lovely. Okay, another one I got at the beginning of this year. And, came back into print. I think it's still in print now. This is just a gorgeous deck. I love this deck. I used it a bunch, and I used it even in this month I was using it. But I just love it. The art is just gorgeous, and it works. Like, it's RWS based. It's really good. Anyway, it's, I think, one of my most beautiful decks. And I've shown this before, so it's not anything new, I guess, but gorgeous deck. I've used it a lot, but it's also one of those decks you could just sit and look through it. Just loving the art, but it actually reads really great, and it's a great deck to use. I love this card. We're doing daily draws, and I think this was the first card of the month I got. It's just sweet. Anyway, the horses and unicorns are beautiful. Look at the Fool there. Isn't that just sweet? It's just charming. the devil's puppets. It's just, and look at the King of Cups. Could you have picked a better King of Cups? On the 8 of Cups, you're out in the desert, you're walking away. And I love this 3 of Wands. It's really cool. Anyway, and the King of Wands. Perfect. I just think it was really well thought out. Beautiful Page of Cups. Reminds me of the aquarium over in Newport because of how it's a window there. And, you know, I do think whales should be in the ocean, but every once in a while they have to rehabilitate whales. And so they end up there. 6 of Wands. Look at that 2 of Swords. Oh, just gorgeous. Anyway, it's another one of those decks that I think is a perfect deck. Look at that 10 of Cups. It's so beautiful. And it shuffles really well, actually. It's just standard tarot size. It's got great cardstock. High Priestess. Anyway, I'm in love with this deck. It is one of my perfect decks. And look at the gill. I don't know if you can tell, but it's got like stars on the sides of it. Hardscape Tarot. Gorgeous deck. Okay. And next, I'll show you an old favorite, which I'm sure you've seen a ton on my channel. It's the Invisible Light Tarot. This is one of my favorite decks. Has been for years. Will remain for years. It's definitely up in my top 5 decks ever. I love this deck. This deck's been to the beach. It's been everywhere with me and made it, you know, was one of my decks I used a lot in the pandemic. And I love it. Just am so connected to this and to the cards and meanings of each one of these. There's nudity in this deck, by the way. But fabulous deck. Or for me it is. And I think sometimes photography decks are not everybody's cup of tea. And I always hear people saying they don't love photography decks, but I love them, always have, always will. And it is a really cool photography deck because they did some manipulation with like rolling the photos back and taking them again. So you see like some of the images just have this haunting look. And it's, Brandy Allen, she lives in Southern California. And you know, it feels like a Southern California deck. I have family down in Southern California and spent a lot of time in my childhood down in Southern California, and this just feels like Southern California. And it reminds me a lot of growing up by the beach, by the water. It's got a lot of water in this deck. And part of it's black and white and part of it's color. But a definite favorite of mine. One of my very precious decks. And it comes together like that. And it's Invisible Light Tarot. She is redoing this deck, and so it will be out, I think, in 2024. That particular version is out of print, but she is redoing it. Okay. Another deck that I got this year that I pre-ordered, came out a while ago, that is amazing, is the Arthurian Tarot. And it was an Anaturian deck that you will recognize her art. Or the box. Just an absolutely beautiful deck. and it's based on the Arthurian legend, so I've been reading the book, and it is really well done. It is a Claire Duval deck, so you know it's going to be great. And then with Anna's art, it's just stunning. I love her art. And I love the Arthurian legends. It's really great. Oh, it's in French. So if you don't read French, I think you have to... I think there's a Google Translate or something. I can't do that. I'm just not willing to spend the time to do that, but I think there are plenty of people that are and think it's fine. But for me, I'll only get decks in French or English because those are the only two languages I can read. And I'm better at English, but I can get by with French. I'm not great at speaking. And I guess if I had all the time in the world, then it was my only deck. And, you know, I just have a busy job and don't have time to do stuff like that. I have one deck, or maybe even two, in different languages, but I end up not using them that much because it's hard for me. Anyway, great deck, one of my favorites of the year. We'll be using it a ton in 2024. And it's kind of one of those like extra packaging decks. It's got a box inside the box. So it does the thing like that where you... And this came out, I don't know, maybe within the last 2 months. So that is the Tarot Arthurian. All right, show you another deck that this one I got this year. I never ever thought I would get a copy of this, and then in September I found a copy that was really reasonably priced. It's in a Kelly Bear bag because it's so special, and her bags are so special. So this is the original copy of the Greenwood Tarot. I absolutely love this deck. It is a favorite already. I had printed it out before, but I really, really wanted an original copy, and I didn't think I would ever be able to get this deck because it just sometimes goes for like insane prices. But I ended up finding it for a really reasonable price and getting it, so I am super happy about this. And you can get the images for free and printed, and the guidebooks online too. But I just wanted an original copy in the original cardstock, and I just have wanted that for years, and was just really happy to finally find that. So this is super special. It's a treasure. And I can't quite believe I have it. What a blessing to have this deck for me, because just really, really, really wanted it. All right, that is my Greenwood Tarot in my Kelly Bear special bag that I love. All right, sorry about that. Yesterday somebody came over, and so I am filming again today, and I just didn't finish everything yesterday. So I'm going to go through some more of my favorites from the year, and I'm going to go through some of my collage decks. And this is the Talisma Tarot by Tara Cochran, who was at Newt's this year, Northwest Tarot Symposium. I already have the deck, and it was one of my favorites. Already I've talked about this a bunch, but I got to see some of the art, the bigger prints this year when I was at Newt's, so that was really fun. So this has been one of my very favorite collage decks this year, and I love collage decks. Oh, isn't that a beautiful star? Art card. So this is a Toth-based system, so it's easy for me to read, and I've just really enjoyed this. It's a beautiful deck, and it goes with everything. I've used it so much this year, and I just absolutely adore this deck. It is right up my alley. It's got the vibe I want to play with. And I think I've shown this quite a bit, so probably won't go through every single card, but absolutely love it. Such a great deck. It's got a lot of fire energy, summer energy, like hot summer nights. Anyway, it is getting dark here already today, so I'm going to try and speed this up a little. All right, so that is the Talisma Tarot. Another deck I absolutely love this year is the Ritual Tarot by Tiara May. This is the version with the sparklies. This is not the newest version. I backed it on Kickstarter, and I have a newer version that has the words on the back, so it tells what each card is, but this is the one that I used the most this year, and this has, I think, been a favorite of so many people. It's just a very well done collage deck with a lot of layers of meaning. Beautiful lust card, and I have the first edition of this too. So this is not my first year using this deck, but I do just absolutely love it. I think it's great. This version does not have any titles on the cards, but you get to know the deck pretty quickly. And a lot of them are pretty easy to tell what they are. It's got a lot of statues in it. And I'll show you the newer version later, but this was the one I used the most in 2023. And I mean, I still use my first edition a lot too. But this version with the backs with the kind of stars on it has a different cardstock than the second version that doesn't have the stars. And this cardstock is really flexible but really sturdy, and it shuffles great and is really great to use, and the newer version is awesome. Anyway, that is a Ritual Tarot by Tiara May. And another deck that I used that I absolutely loved was my Mysteries of the Black Madonna by Hetty Ann Grobler, and I have loved this deck since I got it. I got it right when it came out, and again this year, and I'm still just absolutely loving it, pairing it with tons of stuff. I still use the guidebook because there's a lot of layers, And there's always more meaning with the guidebook. And I don't read a ton of cards at once with this one, but I do love it. It's a great deck. And it's going to continue being used a lot in 2024. All right, Mysteries of the Black Madonna. And it comes in these beautiful black and gold bags. Another great deck this year was my Circle of Doors Tarot, which I absolutely adore. Very feminine deck. Feminine, it's about feminine power. And I've showed this in a bunch of other videos too. But I think it's fantastic and I love it. And I am using this in specific ways. The cardstock is so good. It reads really well for me. It is a very sacred feminine style deck with a lot of that kind of power and energy, a lot of crone energy. Fabulous deck. And I treasure it. It is a special deck for me. And it will have a strong place in my 2024 decks too. So I'm absolutely loving this deck. All right. My favorite collage deck of the year was the Tiger Tarot by Lori Field. I had followed this artist for a long time. This deck was done in conjunction with an art exhibit that was in New Jersey, where these paintings were just huge. And unfortunately, I didn't get to see it. And then, as far as I can tell, that was the only time that there was that exhibit. It was only in New Jersey. I got this deck actually at the end of last year, but it was right at the end of the year, so I didn't really get to play with it last year. But it has played a big part in my decks for 2023. And boy, do I love it. It reads really great. It's really fun, and I don't know what it is, but it just ended up being my very favorite of all my collage decks to use this year. I used it the most by far of all the collage decks, and I use the Ritual Tarot a lot, but I use this even more. Anyway, very fun deck. A treasure in my collection. And I don't know, there's just like something about it that just end up loving. Those are the backs. I just want to use this deck all the time. And very, very happy I got it. All right, next I will show you a fun deck that was a Kickstarter that I backed. It is the Eldridge Overlord Tarot, and I got like the book and the cloth and the dice and the whole, like I got a kit because I backed it just at the kit level. And this has a great guidebook. That is a gaming style, and this is just a super fun deck. I've showed this before. I think I showed it in my new decks in June or something, my last 10. Anyway, really fun. Still loving it. Still having fun with it. And I'll probably keep using it in 2024 quite a bit. And it's got like opalescent-y, like silver foil on it. And it's super bright and really wild, but which is not always my style, but for some reason this one I just ended up loving. Anyway, I've shown this before, so I won't spend a ton of time on it, but really fun deck and like definitely a favorite for its wild, crazy vibe. All right. Another of my favorites is the Bohemian Gothic. Oh, this is my one that is not open. That's for my friend. I'll grab the other one. In the meantime, this was something I got at the very beginning of this year, and I saved up for this deck. This is Aura Shadows. It is a glitter Carol Hertzer deck. I am in love with this one. I have several of these, but this year, this was my treasured Carol Hertzer deck. And you probably can't tell, but it's got glitter on it. Sometimes you can see it. And these decks are awesome. Love them. And they're RWS, but they're just special. And they all have different colors, and you can get them with glitter or without, or you can get them with opalescent colors or without. I think I got, maybe, this may not have came this year. It might be, this one might be from last year. But anyway, used it a ton this year. And I think I showed it in the Deck and Walks. I'm pretty sure I did in my Deck and Walk videos. Anyway, crazy beautiful deck. Any of her decks that you can get are amazing. They're all fantastic. Love them all. And it's just one of those things that no matter what, I would just want anything she does. Now I've lost. Oh, there it is. The bag for this. I'm going to do a separate video for Oracle decks. This one I'm just showing tarots because it is going to get dark today. Okay, another deck that's really fun, that's special, that I'm enjoying, that I think is really well done, is the Witch's Garden Tarot. And it is a mass market deck. And it is in order right now. We're doing a deck study for Lisa Papez's Unicorn Group. And you've probably seen this, but I think this is a really well done deck. And at first I thought, oh, it's going to remind me too much of the Greenwood Tarot by the Llewellyn one, but it doesn't. It's got its own thing and its own vibe. It's got a good guidebook. Just a great deck. And really pretty, really fun. I'll be using this one for years to come, I'm sure. Anyway, I won't spend a ton of time on that one. That's the Witch's Garden. Secrets of the Witch's Garden is the guidebook. And I have these great little bags that Peggy made as part of our study group. It's really cool. So that's the one that the book goes in. And then you can put the book and the deck there, which is really awesome. You can just take it with you. All right, another deck that I absolutely love, minkyti fiorentine. I finally got this. I'd wanted it for a really long time, and I finally got it. It's got some extra cards in it. And then it has, I I won't spend a lot of time going through it. If there's not, I might do a walkthrough of this later. But anyway, it's available now. And I probably got it at maybe towards the beginning of the year. I had wanted it and was out of print for a while. And I wanted this Il Meneghello edition. And I had it originally, lost it over on the coast. And I may get it back sometime, but then really wanted it again. And there's like Faith, Hope, and Charity. It doesn't use the same standard majors. Like this is fire, water, earth, air, and then it goes through like Libra, and it goes through the suits, the astrological suits, and then the minors are standard minors. But anyway, super happy to have this. This will be something I use even more in 2024, so happy about that one. A mass market deck that I really loved this year was the Ghost Tarot. I used it during spooky season and for one of my monthly medicine groups with Tom Michelle. And I thought this would just be, oh, it's just a ghosty, you know, I used it for a ghost week, and it was kind of a spooky, ghosty month. But I ended up just really loving it, and everything, because they're ghosts, they're see-through, but it kind of helped me see things differently, and I really enjoyed using this deck. It was really fun, and I will keep using this one. It's a great little deck. And it's in print, and it's mass market, and it's not expensive. It's just a RWS deck, or follows the RWS system. And I've shown this a bunch too, but Wheel of Fortune. But it's a really great deck, and it reads really well. It's really easy to read with. And that is the Ghost Tarot by Lo Scarabeo, or Scarabeo. I'm not sure how to say that. I never know. I hear people say it all different ways, okay? And then another deck that was really great was Tarot of the Spirit. And I used this the first part of the year, and then I kind of stopped using it. It's a lot, and I'm going to go back to it in 2024. But I learned a lot from it, and I didn't get through all the cards when I was studying, and I did a lot of readings with it. The guidebooks are amazing, and it just has a lot of depth. And so I plan to go back to this maybe February, March, and spend more time with it. There's also an earlier version of this deck, but it doesn't have this little plastic Kabbalah tree, and this you can put over all of them, and it's designed to work with that. But the early version doesn't have that. It's only this newer version. The newer version, I think it has a lot prettier cards. The older version is more washed out. This is just more vibrant, and for me, I prefer this version over the version from before. So that is Tarot of the Spirit, is by Pamela and Joy Eakins. It is a whole thing to learn that you could study for a whole year just as one deck. It's amazing. It's totally worth your time. My Spolia Tarot, always one of my favorites. Love this deck. Continue to love it. It is back in order right now. And I've shown this a bunch, so you've seen it before, but always a favorite. Treasured deck. Really, really well done collage deck. One of my favorites. of all time. It is out of print. I don't know if this one will come back into print at any point in time. Anyway, I've shown this before, so I won't spend a ton of time on it, but definitely a deck I am in love with still to this day. Hi, it's me again. So I ran out of light, so now I'm filming in the afternoon on another day where I don't have good light. So now I'm going to show you the Bohemian Gothic. Definitely one of my favorite purchases of the year. And I've shown this and I did a walkthrough of it, so I won't spend a long time on it. But this is a deck that I have several copies, several editions of. I think this new copy is absolutely gorgeous. I like the changes that were made. The cardstock is awesome. And I know some people don't like the cold foil stamping, but it makes it hard to make a fake of it because I don't think it copies well. So I get why somebody would do it. And it is really pretty. It doesn't bother me that, you know, there's a couple times where if I had it at a certain angle, it reflected a lot. And sometimes on camera it doesn't film as well, but the cold foil stamping is actually really pretty. So anyway, that is the Bohemian Gothic Tarot. Super excited to have this one. And I will be using this a lot in 2024. And it's already been well used this year, even though I have other copies. All right, mass market deck I got that I just thought was great is my Midnight Magic Tarot. I have started edging it in black, but I haven't finished. I'll probably finish this week, hopefully. But love this deck. I just thought it was beautiful. It's an RWS deck. RWS system deck. And I'm sure there's a ton of walkthroughs of this one out there. A ton of people have it. It is really pretty. And I just enjoy how beautiful it is. And it is all mushrooms. Mushrooms seem to be a big thing this year. I'm not sure why, but, you know, like one of my favorite oracles was a mushroom oracle too. Anyway, I think this is a really well done, really beautiful deck. I'm not super interested in going out and picking mushrooms, but I sure do love eating them. But really well done guidebook. Anyway, I am edging it in black, but not done yet. That is Midnight Magic by Sarah Richard. There's the side of the box. There's the back. It's Adams Media, which I hadn't heard of before. Okay, probably one of my favorite decks I've got this year is the New York Tarot. I friggin' love this. Serious Endeavors. It is an old vintage photography deck, and I'm just stoked to have it. And I sort of collect these old photography decks. I have a bunch that are old, and then I have some that are new. This one is especially cool, I think. I really love it. And I have a strong connection to New York City because my youngest daughter lives there, so. I also just think the city's friggin' cool. It's an awesome place. You know, if I was younger, I could easily live there, but you know, I grew up a long ways away on a small island, so. Anyway, love this deck. I think it's just super cool. That's the New York Tarot. A dark deck that I didn't think I wanted, but I ended up just really loving, and is a treasure to me now. It's really important. Is the Somnia Tarot. It's funny, I saw it on Kickstarter, didn't back it. There was just no way. I thought, this is definitely not for me. But now that I have it, I went through quite a bit before I decided I wanted it. I saw this on Dawn Michelle's channel after I'd seen it like a bunch of other times and still thought I didn't want it. But for some reason, it just shifted my perspective on it. And now I friggin' love this deck. It's amazing. I always thought it was beautiful. It is stunning. I don't have the painted version of it. I just have the photography version. There's also a painted looking version. But I don't know. I'm probably just going to stick with a photography deck because I just have a strong love of photography decks anyway. And this one, I'm already just super bonded to it. It's really powerful. It's crazy, like the shift that happened. And it's got some real darkness to it, for sure. And it brings that out in the readings. Like, even though you're just maybe doing a lighthearted reading, sometimes you have to face something that you may have not faced before. But wow, what a powerful deck. Fantastic deck. And oh man, do I think it's beautiful. And I know it creeps people out sometimes. It did me for a while, but now I love it. So I treasure this one for sure. That's the Somnia Tarot by Nicholas Bruno. And then a couple surprises. I got this Mythos Tarot. Wasn't sure what to think of it, but I thought, it'll be fun. And I ended up actually really liking this deck. And this one is a rock pull deck by Helena Elias, I think is how you say that. But I think pretty well done. It does have really beautiful people. So there's not as much diversity of humans as there could be in this deck. But, there are some older figures once in a while. And there's some male energy. But it's mostly like very beautiful people in it as a whole. And so thumbs down for that, but I do like the deck as a whole. And I've been having an interesting time with it. Anyway, mass market deck, Mythos Tarot. Very beautiful deck. And it comes in this pretty large rock pull box. Okay, deck I loved, Daydreaming in Situ. This is a collage deck. I did put this one back in order, I think. I have 2 copies of this. Anyway, I do really like this deck. And it is a fun collage deck. And I really love collage decks. And I'm sure you've seen this around, so I just kind of flip through things quickly. So that is Daydreaming in Situ by Annie Farrar. And that is the box. All right. My most studied deck this year. Spirit Keepers Tarot. I have several of, so I have a couple copies of this, and then I have a brighter copy. This is the one I use the most. This is just an amazing deck. This was my deck that I would get up and study every morning. You know, and that kind of fell off the last few months because I've just been so busy, and I've done a ton of readings with this deck. And yet, I could study it another year. There's so much to it. And I plan on still continuing to use this in 2024 and keep studying it. Just because I think it's worth it. It's a brilliant deck. And a treasure, and I love it. And I do have all the versions of it at this point in time. All right. Another favorite, the BiP Tarot. This is the plastic version because I got one plastic version. And this one is absolutely beautiful. I've been playing with the metallic version a lot, but this one shuffles so well. It shuffles so easy. And the cardstock is thin and bendable because it's a plastic deck. And I took this one so I could just take it to the beach and the coast. Sometimes I like having plastic decks. Yeah, it's not perfectly in order, but it's close. I haven't played with this version of it as much. As I have the metallic version. There's also a paper version. And I have a mini version coming. But I don't even know what to say. This deck is just awesome. It's great. Super happy. It's a treasure. I'm really, really happy. I backed it on Kickstarter. It took me longer to get it because I had not filled out my address right. Or I hadn't filled out my address at all. I didn't realize it. Anyway, I got a bunch of stuff with it, and one of the things I got was a 10. All right. I think I need to stop because it's getting dark again. All right. Thanks for watching.